everybody. Welcome to My Worst Date. I'm Cassie.
I'm Keegan.
I'm Christina.
And I was on Reddit earlier today and I saw a thread on Ask Women that I thought was really interesting. And I was interested to see, because we all have very different moms and with, I think, very different thought processes in the way that they think.
Okay.
I also think that our parents are from kind of distinctly different parts of generationally, right? Because my mom was a lot older. So my mom's like early boomer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And Keegan, your mom's like early Gen X. And then
mine's in
Christina,
the middle.
your mom kind of falls right in the middle. Right. So, okay. So this was, the question is, what dating or relationship advice did you receive from your mother growing up? And I'll read you some of the responses, which I thought was very interesting. One was make your own money and don't rely on any man. I'm like, my mom, 100%. That's my mom's advice. She was like, make your own money, fuck a man, you don't need him.
Interesting.
Yeah. The other one was choose a thief over a drunk. At least he'll bring you things.
Wow.
You know,
Actually, solid advice. Question mark.
This one, always have an exit plan. No matter how much you love someone, you never really know them, and you need to be able to get out ASAP if things go bad. Also, good advice that I also got from my mom. My mom was had very solid.
Yes.
You trust you, only you advice.
I'm trying to think of some things. My mom and I never really talked dating. I don't remember. The only thing I can really remember her saying is you can always come home, that kind of thing.
My mom was always you always have a soft, she still is, you always have a soft place to land kind of person.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of my mom's dating advice was colored less by her generation and more by our religion. I feel like I got a lot of religious based advice, for better or for worse. But I would say, my mom did always emphasize that the partner you choose in your life is one of the most important decisions that you can make in your life. And she always, made that very clear, that because it can have such a massive impact on the way you live your life, on what you do, on, how you feel about yourself and how you move forward. And so, I think that is good advice, is you be picky. You should be picky. There's space to be picky. And I think that was her way of saying kind of don't settle.
Oh, so, I got kind of the opposite, where
they're like,
she's like, no, settle immediately.
No, it wasn't settle immediately. It was just kind of yeah, if you whore around, don't get pregnant, and nothing's permanent. So,
Wow. Yeah.
Be safe.
And because I was raised in such a, religious household, it was definitely not that. It was to perhaps my own detriment. It was make a good choice, because when you make a choice, you're locked in.
That's it, forever.
Yeah. And don't have sex before you get married. It was very everything was ritualized, and meant to be kind of this permanent there's thing. So I was definitely raised with much more of that mentality around relationships, which, there's the good part of it, which is be picky, be selective, do know that it's not just, it ain't a game out here, because you can fuck around and find yourself tied to an absolute piece of shit. So be careful. That stuff does matter, but also it put a ton of pressure on me, to believe that, whenever I had sex for the first time, for instance, I feel like I stayed in that relationship with that person a lot longer than I should have or would have otherwise, because I had this belief that it was okay that I had sex out of wedlock, because I'm going to marry this person anyway. I'm going to be with them forever. Girl. So it's going to be fine, and obviously that was not the case. And I wish I hadn't put that kind of pressure on myself, because there needs to be a little mix of both, your mom and my mom, which is just like nothing. I fully believe in impermanence, right?
Yes.
I fully believe in impermanence, but I also think you should be selective. You should be picky. Don't like willy-nilly fall in with anybody,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a bit of a mix, Keegan, because my parents were very religious. We've talked about this before. And in a similar way, that kind of born again Christian way. However, both of my parents had been married prior and were both of them on their second marriage. So
mine too.
It was like, do as I say, not as I do kind of thing. And I think that any kid growing up seeing that's like, okay,
well,
for sure.
I think it's also like, it's to keep you safe, because my grandparents, or in their minds, it's to keep you safe. They think they're doing something that's going to protect you, because obviously, like, for the record, my mom, my grandparents, like my family, there's been a lot of, split ups, a lot of divorces in my family, and no one ever gets like disowned or anything like that. Like, it's not
right.
what happens. And in fact, like, my grandpa has been married. He's on his fourth marriage. This one's sticking. They've been together for over 20 years. And my grandma was married and divorced twice. So like, of course, like, life happens. Everybody knows that life happens. They know that too. But I think they want you to do better than they did. And they think that the way to accomplish that is to be like, to put so much emphasis on permanence and on making the right decision from the jump so that you don't have to go down that way. I think that's how they feel about it.
I think that, I don't know, in some ways, I think that that bit worked on me, but also same Keegan, my grandmother was married 4 times.
Wow.
So I as well. I mean, so I come from a lot of divorces in my family, even though my parents have never divorced and always stayed together. I very much always wished they would divorce. And many times I've told my mom, please divorce him.
Oh my God,
he's
same.
fucking awful, but that's cool. As a child, telling your mom to divorce your father, you would think that your mom would probably have more curiosity about why. But anyhow, moving past that, I was very determined I think in the advice my mom gave me is like, first, yes, always be able to take care of yourself. Need no man, right? But second of all, too, in some of the same way you're talking about, Keegan, where she was like, just be very careful. And one of the things I will always stick in my brain is that if something just even slightly tickles an itch in your brain that bothers you now, and 20 years from now, you'll want to murder him over it, like not literally, obviously, but like those things are going to like escalate if you have those kind of feelings. And so for me, it was really important. One, my first criteria was the opposite of my own father. And 2 was to find somebody who I just really had good communication with and could trust. Well,
then you were very mature going into dating. I feel like I was just like, I felt like I wasn't liked very much by boys whenever I was younger. And so once somebody liked me and thought I was pretty, I was like, oh, wrap it up, done deal.
Let's get married.
Let's do this.
Seal the deal.
Yeah.
Oh,
which is ridiculous because you're the prettiest person I know. So
well, that's very nice of you.
I can't really remember my mom advice as much as I can remember my dad advice. And one of the last things he said to me really stuck with me. I don't know if it's like a backhanded compliment or what it is, but he's like, he said, my hope for you is that you find somebody that loves you more than you love them.
You've told us this before.
You need this. You need that. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I think he's right. I think he nailed me.
I think it's a compliment. And I think too. That because you are so hard on yourself, I think that you need somebody who shows you so much love all of the time.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
For you to believe it.
Right. They show you the good in you. so that you
Yes.
can see it for yourself, because I think you have a hard time with that, you know, because you have a hard time knowing how amazing you are. You need somebody who's going to tell you and remind you how amazing you are all the time.
Yeah, so that's my favorite advice. But I do like the fact that my mom, I guess when I think about my mom and dating and the few, like, she never really gave advice. She would just tell these awful fucking stories about like her and my Aunt Tracy, like being like teenagers in the 80s. And all I can hear is like, life in the fast lane. You know what I mean? Or like Roxette or something like that. And they were just like, oh yeah, I knew a guy that did acid and then threw himself off a balcony. And you're like, what?
Jesus.
I'm 8 years old.
She put you on a Scared Straight program for
That's
sure.
exactly right. It was Scared Straight.
God.
I think that's really what my mom never gave me advice. She would just tell me these awful stories about what it was like to like do drugs and date and everything like that in the 80s. And so then I was like so straight edge for like a long time. But then I would also have these weird ways of rebelling, like going like extra far. So yeah, I don't know. Talk to your kids. I guess is the
Give good
moral
advice. Give good advice.
story.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not a parent, and I can't imagine how hard it is. Like, I really can't. I'm sitting here and I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck I would do. Like, because you always try to do better. I think if you're a good parent, it's like you always try and do better than what your parents did for you. And I think sometimes people might spring too far the other way in an attempt to protect you and keep you safe and keep you from doing things like making mistakes that you made, like they made or their parents made or whatever, you know?
I think my son tends to be that kind of fall into your category, Christina, of the maybe a little bit more self deprecating and maybe not realizing his own worth. And so for me, it was really important. I really felt like, never will you grow up in a house where you don't get told I love you almost too much.
Oh yeah.
To the point where you're just like,
was my mom too. It was like, I love you every morning, every night, dropping you off to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Every phone call.
Even if you call me for a quick like, hey, I'm just checking in. I want to let you know where you're at. I love you. Never once will you not hear me tell my kid I love you after a phone. Like, I mean, just always. Like, to me, that was super important. I wanted him to always hear I love you. And then secondly, it was that he's just so worth, you know? Like, you're such an important person and you're worth having good people in your life.
Yeah.
And like, it's just, you know, it's hard and pick people who make you feel good. You know, you don't have to be around people who make you feel bad about yourself. We do that enough for ourselves.
Amen.
You know, so pick good people and that make you happy and be happy.
Oh,
so
this makes me want to call my mom.
Always. I love my
call
mom.
my son.
I love my mom so much. We're going to take a hard turn because I feel like I have a PSA that I need to make. And I told Christina about this when she came over last night. We have told stories on this podcast and, you know, it's an ongoing learning experience. I look back sometimes and I'm like, wow, I was so judgmental about certain things. I was making soup the other day because I was trying to like convince myself it was fall, even though it was like 98 degrees outside. And I had to turn on the AC to make the soup because like turning on my stove made my apartment hot. So I was making stuffed pepper soup and, you know, I chopped up all my ingredients. I chopped up a jalapeno. I put it in there. And I washed my hands and I did the fucking dishes. Like I did that. My hands were soaked in water for a while, right?
Yep.
And then I was just like, I needed to, so I put the stuff was on and I like went pee and I wiped. And then I was like, why is my clit burning? Like I was like, why is my vag on fire? And like, I feel like I've been so judgmental because we have told stories on this podcast before, particularly about like men who are like, I made her a dinner and I like chopped up chilies and then I like fingered her and it was a whole situation.
Yes.
And I'm like, why didn't you wash your hands? it sometimes it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's this lingering
Wow.
residue. And to the point where like, I also had like rubbed my nose. So my nostril is burning. My like vag is burning. And I'm like, so I went and I tried to like splash my nose with water. Water doesn't help. I'm giving a PSA because I need people to know what to do, because water actually made it worse. So don't do that. If you accidentally finger somebody with your chili fingers, don't put water on it. You're just going to make it worse. So I Googled it. Which one of these days we should do the thing they do on Daily Zeitgeist and tell each other what's in our Google search histories, because like I Googled,
can't waterboard that out of me. Get the fuck out.
But I was like, what do you do with like, I didn't, do like jalapeno on vag. I was just like jalapeno on skin. Like, what do you do? And one of the recommendations was oil. So I was like, well, I have olive oil. So I went and I got the olive oil down from my cabinet and like put it on a paper towel and just like kind of swabbed the downstairs region.
You're like wearing an olive oil maxi pad.
It's just like, and I will say it did help. It did help.
There you go.
So if you ever find yourself, yeah, man. If you ever find yourself in this situation, that is something that you can do. Everybody has an oil of some kind in their cabinet. That is the way to handle it. But man, I was like, I love jalapenos. I'm going to have to start using gloves to cut my jalapenos, because I'm like, what do I need to do to get this shit off of my fingers? Like I'm like washing my hands, I'm washing dishes. I like scrubbing under my nails. It surely does. So just
wild.
From me to you, beware.
Wow.
Be safe out there.
Be safe.
Be safe out there.
Oh my God.
God.
Now see, this is the kind of mom advice that we really needed to be getting.
Yes. This is, I don't know if I will ever be a mother, but I can be your virtual fun Aunt Keegan and give you this kind of advice. You come to me.
That's right.
Come to me. I'll help you out.
Oh God. It's so hilarious.
Well, we are still in spooky season. And we have gotten a few recommendations. One of our most popular Fuck, Marry, Kills was when we did cryptids.
Yes. Yes.
So I think it was for an anniversary episode of some kind. It's like our 200th. It was a special episode.
Yeah.
And we did the Mothman, Bigfoot, and Nessie.
Yep.
It was very exciting. And since then, we have gotten requests to follow up. And we thought, since it was spooky season, that we should get in there and learn about some new cryptids, right?
Hell yeah.
Now, I don't feel like a lot of these cryptids are common knowledge. I feel like we kind of hit the big ones.
The peak ones.
Yeah. So when I couldn't sleep in my insomnia state in the middle of the night last night, took the liberty of looking up some cryptids for us to potentially fuck, marry, kill. And I will give you a bit of a description of the ones that we decided to go with. So
fantastic.
This one I'm just very excited about and feel like I have to throw in here because I've never heard of it. The Loveland Frog from Loveland, Ohio.
Oh, no.
And it is what it sounds like. It is a frog man hybrid.
Oh, okay. What in the
like
Ohio?
Giant frog man.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, wow.
And I can go a little bit, if you would like, I can go a little bit more into the lore of these.
I would.
Okay.
I do. I want to know.
All right. I will. I'm not going to go with this one, but this was honorable mention. But the Chupacabra, I have to mention it because every time I hear about it, I think of the capybara, which is not what it is at all. It doesn't look anything like a capybara. It looks like a very scary, like lizard alien creature.
This one I'm more familiar with, actually.
Yeah,
well, I'm from Ohio.
We can go with this one if you want. So the capybara is kind of like a blood-sucking creature. Or so my
you mean
Chupacabra.
See,
The capybara is
Capybaras
cute.
are so cute. They're like
So
cute.
sweet.
They're like, keep me out of this. Like, I'm just a sweet baby angel.
Yes.
But they're kind of like vampiric sort of creatures in that they suck blood, and in general they will eat like livestock, but they're reptilian-like, alien-like, and roughly the size of a small bear with a row of spines reaching from the neck to the base of the tail. And
I don't love it. I'm not in love with that.
I can send you guys pictures too, because I did
love it.
look
Love
up
it.
photos. So
Yeah.
and so back to the Loveland Frog. The Loveland Frog is roughly 4 feet tall. So he's
Okay.
just
Short
a little
king.
guy.
Short king.
He's a
Short
short king. Yeah, he's a short king. And he was initially spotted in Loveland, Ohio in 1972 and gained attention when a police officer reported to a colleague that he had seen the frogman. And he has since been spotted as recently as 2016.
Yeah, he's old
Oh.
then.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll give you guys the option of which other one we want to do for the third one. So
Okay.
we can either do the Kraken, a classic, European, if we want to leave,
Okay.
this side
You
of
know,
the world.
It's a yeah.
Yeah. And sea dwelling. The rest of these dwell on land. Or we can do the Jersey Devil.
Oh,
we
Jersey
wanna-
Devil.
All right, all right.
Jersey Devil.
Gotta do Jersey
Come on.
Devil.
Okay. And I'll send you.
I don't know enough about it, but I want to hear everything. Tell
I'll
me the
send
lore.
you
girl.
pictures of this. So the
Okay.
Jersey Devil, it comes from New Jersey.
Right.
And it is a creature that is described as a flying biped with hooves. And it has like a kangaroo-like appearance. Like it has like the head of a kangaroo or a camel type vibe.
What the fuck? Two very different things.
But with
I'm so
wings, but also has wings, bat-like wings and horns
I gotta look this up.
and cloven hooves. So it also has
Wonderful.
like a
What's up?
weird, like elongated body situation going on. And it lures both it and the chupacabra will lure victims with a blood-curdling scream.
Oh, love it. Love.
Why that draws you in?
That sure wouldn't.
I don't know.
What the?
Oh my God.
That's
I need to.
creepy. Okay. So the Jersey Devil, if I'm going to pick a sign for the Jersey Devil, that is an earth sign. I'm saying Capricorn. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
Christina.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing.
Yeah. The Chupacabra is just a dog, right? Okay.
Well, but no, because it's
weird.
It's got like an
here's one with
alien appearance.
Huh.
Okay, so I just sent you guys pictures of all three.
What in the Jersey Devil is happening right now?
don't know. Jersey
That
Devil.
is a fever dream
Jersey
from
Devil
a
is
4-year-old.
Confused. Yeah, it is confused. It also looks too top heavy. You know,
Yes.
like it
Yes.
looks like it wouldn't, its little bat wings wouldn't be able to carry it. But if I remember correctly from the lore episode on this, because there is an episode of the lore podcast on the Jersey Devil, I think the main thing was that it didn't fly very much. It mostly like ran on its little hooves on the rooftops. And that's how people knew the Jersey Devil was like on top of your house. Did you just look at the frogman? I feel like Christina just looked at the frog.
Yeah. I hate all of them.
What the fuck?
The Frogman?
Oh,
Wow.
oh my God.
The Frogman is, what do we think? I'm
A
not gonna
water
lie.
sign, certainly.
Water. I know. I didn't want to say Pisces, but
No.
I feel like
It's got, I
must.
mean, it's
Yeah.
either a Pisces or a Cancer. It simply must be. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I'll accept that.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm happy if we want to give the Chupacabra an Aries because
It
to
has
round
kind
us
of
out.
chaotic Aries energy in this picture, I feel
yeah.
like.
really-
So I'm willing to accept that.
Okay.
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 So what are we thinking? We've got
God.
like an amphibian, a reptile, and
Oh.
some kind of mammal,
There
flying
is-
mammal.
Something very magnetic about the Jersey Devil to me.
Oh yeah, something appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's almost
That's
it's
weird.
so like so strange so weird with its little skinny legs and its big neck and head. I'm like, I don't know. I want to go like shopping with him or something.
Actually,
I just want to like have brunch.
He seems the most interesting. I don't love the blood curdling scream bit.
No,
I don't love that. However, he does look the kindest out of these three. The frogman.
Yeah.
That's my husband you're talking about.
Oh,
yeah. I'm marrying the Loveland Frog man. Yeah.
Okay.
all right.
Yeah.
I think this is good for you, if I'm honest.
Yeah. We'll have like a lake house, you know? And
Yeah. It looks so damp.
It's so it's
a lot of
it's extra
moist.
wet.
Yeah.
I
Very
don't know
moist.
that I can get on board. I used to catch toads. Like
Frogs creep me out.
I think they're so cute. I
think
love
they're fun.
frogs.
I do too. I like them too, but I feel like I'm gonna get warts. You know, I feel like it's a little too damp for me. I just don't think I could make a cozy home.
I also feel like he's gonna fuck you real funny. Like,
Yeah, that's not his fault. It's just the way he's
It's giving
constructed.
the Shape of Water.
Yeah, but I think you have a thing for the Shape of Water fish guy.
I
So
kind of do.
you
So,
do. I know. The chupacabra scares the shit out of me. I think
That's
he's
terrifying.
scary.
That's a nightmare. Yeah.
March 1995. See, it is an Aries. March.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, a March.
I'm gonna
Aries.
say late March because it's definitely not a Pisces.
No, that's not giving
No.
Pisces energy at all. I am going to. I you know what? Controversial. I'm going to marry the Jersey Devil.
Okay.
There is something.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah, there is something like just a little more chill about his energy in this picture. Like he's kind of just like, look, I'm just trying to do my own shit, you know? Yeah. He's like,
Here's a much more attractive version. I mean, if that helps.
yeah.
I don't know that.
Okay, yeah, that helps. That does help. He's much hotter there. Yeah.
He does look like he's about to hug you.
He does.
least.
Yeah, he looks a
Sweet
little
baby.
like a griffin situation there. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. I'm gonna marry
also
him.
gonna marry
you
that.
know, I think I believe in him. He seems like he doesn't want to fuck you up. You know. Also, same with the frogman. I feel like the frogman is just trying to live his life and gets caught on occasion. You know, and he doesn't really want to be seen. He'd rather be living in his toad hole or whatever. However, I'm gonna fuck the chupacabra.
Yep. You know what?
Because
out of all of them, that's the only one that goes down.
look at his tongue.
Yeah.
Look at his tongue in this illustration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I gotta say.
You're not
You
wrong.
know,
You guys, this is the creepiest photo I've ever seen.
what the fuck is that? Is that a Jersey Devil?
Yes.
I don't like that. I don't.
That's
but
so
you know,
scary.
That's my husband, and I'm sticking by him. I'm sticking by him.
He's definitely a goat, though. I mean, that head. Oh, God. That is
all right.
frightening.
Stop it! Oh my god! The closer it gets, the scarier it gets.
Oh my
okay.
God.
Well, you know the decision's been made. There's no going back now.
Sure.
I do feel like this Christina, this picture of the chupacabra, and we will put these up on our Instagram. But this picture of the chupacabra, I really do feel like this reminds me so much of when we read that alien romance.
Oh, my God.
This does kind of look like that guy, like the guy on the cover of that alien romance that we read for Too Stupid to Live, the Too Stupid to Live podcast.
Show
So
me.
I sent it in our text.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I feel like I've been well versed on this, having, you know, already. That's a much scarier chupacabra that Cassie is showing me. But I feel like I'm well versed in what to do. I feel like I've gotten an instruction manual from having read that book. So I think I'm going to be okay. And the frogman, honestly, I would be friends with the frogman. He seems nice enough. I don't think he's like mean.
I just don't want him to touch my skin.
I just don't want to fuck him at all. Like I just, it'd be like fucking a slip and slide. I don't want that. I don't want that in my life. So no, thank you.
Oh no.
Yeah. I feel like the smell, I mean, if you've ever been inside the amphibian building at the zoo, I feel like that's not going to be good.
Yeah, I can't do it. I just can't.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's a no for me, dog. I think that I'm also going to marry the Jersey Devil. I agree. I think that he seems the most reasonable. Like, I don't think that he's trying to be. I agree with.
He's
the
an
scream,
earth
though,
sign.
Keegan.
He's just like, I'm rational.
He's like, I'm just existing and rational. Exactly. Yeah, only because there's no way I can fuck an amphibian. I'm gonna fuck the
alien reptile.
Chupacabra.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like a dog-ish.
I mean,
I don't
listen,
love any of this.
None of these options are good. Okay.
This is-
You wanted this, listeners. You asked for this. You specifically
this.
asked for this.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna friend the frog man. Yep. Same as you, Keegan.
Makes me think of what are those books like Mr. Frog and Toad or whatever?
Well,
Frog
but
and Toad,
I did think about that, and the Frog and Toad books, they do make it look cozy. If that was my life, if I was just like wearing a cute little cardigan,
Yes,
like
that's
I'd be
what I
like,
was picturing.
then amazing. But I've yet to see a depiction of the Frogman with clothes on. So
That's
an
that's
issue.
the first thing you got to do is take him shopping. What is he? It's
Right.
like 4 foot, so I don't know, Baby Gap or something. You can get some stuff.
My God.
But okay, Christina, you're marrying the Frogman. Who are
Yes.
you fucking?
I think I'm going Jersey Devil. I do think I'm going Jersey Devil for the fuck. I don't know. I could fly him, places too. That would be fun.
I would hope so, but I just don't know. The way he's constructed, I don't know if he's load bearing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if he can carry me anywhere. His head looks so heavy compared to his wings.
That's true. And then you put my weight on his back. Oh, is he like a penguin or something where the wings are just ornamental? Like,
Yeah, but I feel like he would want to. I feel
Yeah.
like he would want to be able to fly you places, and he would do
effort.
his best. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. And I mean, I like Jersey, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Go visit his family, have good pizza.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Let's get out of this. Let's take 5 and then we'll come back with stories.
Sounds good.
And we're back. Okay, Cassie, you've got the Tainted Love this week, so you can kick us off with stories.
Okay. Mine came from a listener, and the subject is called "But the Bar Has Queso." This isn't a story
listening.
about. This story isn't about specific date, but rather a situationship that I found myself in a few years ago. To start, despite being in my 20s when this happened, I was very inexperienced in the dating world. It started when I worked with a guy named Brandon in my hometown. We clicked instantly, but he had a serious girlfriend. One day, I noticed a bunch of stuff in his car. He said he and his girlfriend had broken up. I knew he would need some time alone, and I was also not going to start dating someone I worked with. Instead, I maintained a flirty, fun relationship that was work appropriate. A year went by, and I had started at a new job. I figured I would shoot my shot, tell him how I felt. He liked what he heard, but said that he was still working on himself after the breakup a year later.
That's reasonable.
Some people it's quick. Some people but it's respectful that you know where you're at. And that is the most important thing,
Yep.
I continued to do some online dating to move forward. I dated someone else briefly. I chatted with a promising guy that had just gotten out of a serious long-term relationship. He said he really liked me, but didn't want me to just be a rebound. I told them that I appreciated the honesty and that I knew someone else, Brandon, just like him, going through something similar. I wished him well on his journey and figured he might have just given me the line to let me down gently. Despite being on the online dating scene for a few months, I couldn't get rid of Brandon. He messaged me a lot, and I was eager to finally have a relationship that started naturally instead of online. I started inviting him over to my house to hang out. The first time Brandon came over, he made a move, and we had a makeout session with some heavy petting. I was ecstatic. I felt like things were looking up for me and that he was past his mourning period.
Oh,
we made
my
plans.
God. That feeling, though, like when you have a crush on somebody
Heavy petting?
and you've been
And you have a
like,
crush on?
and it's been like a year of foreplay, in quotes.
Yes.
You know what I
And
mean?
it's
Where you're-
finally like reciprocated. Ugh, man.
the
Can't be
best
topped.
feeling. Yeah.
Head to toe tingles, right? We made plans to do this again in a few days. Every day we messaged back and forth. He was starting to send spicy messages. I had told him I was not comfortable sending them in return, but he didn't mind. I also told him I wanted to take things slow. I was inexperienced and I didn't want things to end in regret and heartbreak. He told me he respected that decision, and we continued to message all the days in between our next meeting. The day rolled around where he was going to come over. It was getting late, and I waited and waited. I figured maybe he was running late or something came up. I texted him to confirm that we were still on for the night. He texted back and said that he decided to go to the bar instead because they have queso.
Listen, I love queso. First of all, I fucking get it.
Come over to your house and fool around, but the bar has queso.
But there's queso over here, though. There's queso over here.
It was tempting.
It's a tough choice. I understand that. However,
rough.
you fucking gotta text somebody. You can't just like not show up. And also, like a year, like you said, Christina, like a year of foreplay, and you're like, today's the day. You know, like you're like finally we're on the path.
Yeah.
This is finally happening. And then to be relegated to the second tier to queso.
No,
would be.
And also, like, if you think as a woman that you are going to get laid by a crush, the
work that goes in.
prep,
The work that you are scrubbing your body with body scrubs. You are shaving every fucking inch of your body from like eyebrows down. You know, like that. Honestly, that actually pisses me off more. Is the amount of prep work. You took an everything shower. You made sure you were fresh as a daisy.
Your bra and panties match.
Yeah.
Like everything.
Yeah. They might even be brand new.
Yes.
Let's be honest.
Oh, God damn it. Oh, now I'm mad. Now I'm mad thinking about that.
Yep.
I thought to myself, he can't be serious. This is some kind of joke. He is a bit of a jokester. I messaged him back asking if he was serious. He could tell I was hurt and a little angry. He said that he would be over when he was finished.
You know what? Actually, you can just stay home. I have a date with my vibrator now. That's what's gonna happen.
That's exactly right.
Why? Like, I put all this work in, and you're gonna roll up smelling like beer and cheese?
Queso.
Oh, I'm mad.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry to say I let this pass. When he came over, we started to make out. But this time he got really pushy. He kept trying to reach into my pants. He kept telling me he wanted to take things further. I'm sorry. Post queso? Chill out, bruv. I told him I wasn't comfortable with that yet and that I won't do those things until I'm ready and in a committed relationship. And the next few days, messages kept going more and more explicit. I convinced myself I could be cool with messages because they weren't the physical reality of intimacy, even though they had made me uncomfortable. We had plans to join him to come over for a movie a few days before my birthday. When the day arrived, I waited, and Brandon never came over for my birthday.
And like this person has, you know, in the beginning of this story, I was like, it sounds like they have really good communication. Like he's communicating that he's not ready for something. She's communicating that she's not ready for something. Like it sounds like they have good communication, but his communication is actually really, really poor. It takes nothing to send somebody a text message. If your plans have changed, if you just don't want to go out anymore, like whatever it is, you just need to let somebody know. There is nothing more disrespectful than to have somebody sitting around waiting for you. Like that is
wasting
fucked up.
time.
It's just showing such a lack of respect and thought for somebody else's like time, feelings, everything. It's so disrespectful.
Absolutely. I texted him and asked him if he'd forgotten. There was no reply. I was not about to blow up his phone because I was not his girlfriend, yet I felt slighted. I spent the night feeling extremely lonely, and after a few days of not hearing from him...
Birthdays are serious for me. I know they're not for everyone, but it's just birthdays are a big deal to me. And like, I don't know, don't be a fucking asshole ever, but definitely don't do it on someone's birthday. As an adult, you only get so many days that you get to, feel special or make about you. Ugh.
Yep. Exactly. After a few days of not hearing from him, I sent a simple message just to let him know that he was okay. A simple message to just let me know that he was okay. He messaged me back and said that he had noticed his ex had just gotten into a relationship and was having a hard time with it.
Then say that. I'm sorry. I get that that's hard. I actually really do. I understand. Like, I have a lot of empathy for how difficult that is, but like, there's no fucking excuse to just like leave somebody hanging like that. Sorry.
No. Mm-hmm. I consoled him, but told him that I would have appreciated a message letting me know that he wasn't coming over. I allowed myself to think that maybe I hadn't given him enough time. A day or two later, I ran into a high school friend and her mom at the grocery store parking lot. As we were catching up, they asked me if I was seeing anyone special. I put on my life is going great spiel and had told them I had started seeing someone new, but that it was very, very fresh, very new. My friend's mom said something along the lines of, I hope he deserves you. It was like I was hit by a freight train. I got in my car to start driving home and burst into tears. It took this statement from my friend's mom to realize that I deserved better.
Aww.
I deserved someone who wanted to be with, I deserve someone who wanted to be with me. I deserve someone who wasn't pushy and respected my boundaries. I deserved not to be passed up for shitty queso at the bar. I deserved to be with someone who didn't still harbor feelings for someone else. I reached out to Brandon that night and told him that I didn't think we should hang out anymore and that I felt like I needed some distance to get over him. I told him that I wasn't going to be his rebound. A month later, I joined a new dating site and saw a familiar face. It was the guy who had been getting out of a long-term relationship. Despite my latest experience, I decided to reach out and say hello. We connected just like we had before. Things fell right into place, and we're happily married and now expecting our first child together.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so going back to mom advice, I will say this. This was one of the number one, things that my mom told me. And it always stuck with me, and I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it was that the right person at the wrong time is the wrong person.
Yeah.
And, because so much of it is about timing. So if we're talking about like good dating advice that my mom gave me, she did give me that piece of advice. And it's so true because it's like, that wasn't right then. And it probably would have gone off the rails because this guy was not ready to be jumping into something else. Mm-hmm. But you reconnected when it was the right time, and then it was the right person. And I love that. I love that for you. I'm so happy with a happy ending.
Yeah.
When I told this story to my husband, he couldn't believe that someone like me was pushed aside for some subpar queso at the bar.
That's right.
This is definitely not the worst story to come on your show, but I'm hoping this story can be a sign to anyone else getting treated less than they deserve to move forward, to get out of a situation that makes you feel like shit. Make sure they deserve you. I love you, Cassie, Keegan, and Christina, and I tell almost everyone I meet about your stories here on the podcast.
Yay.
Thank you. That's so wonderful. Congratulations to you and your husband.
Yes, and new baby.
And new baby.
Yeah. Oh my God. Now I'm really craving queso though.
I mean, always craving queso.
Oh, solely. All right. It's keeping with my theme. I'm so excited for another spooky story. Spooky Halloween. All right. This one is actually someone asking for advice. So perhaps you can lend your opinion. So they say, hello, friends, and hopefully fellow Warhammer enjoyers.
Oh, I'm so sorry to let you down. I'm so sorry.
Christina.
I am slightly distressed over my actions a few days ago.
Oh no.
I, 30 male, have been talking to this woman, 33 female, for about a month now. I am a very fit man and spend a good amount of time in the gym and outdoors being active. No,
you don't.
No part of my personality gives off that this guy plays tabletop game Warhammer 40K.
Listen, I say this with all the respect and love in my heart.
I know.
There are so many, I have so many guy friends who love tabletop games. No shame at all. Baby, there are signs.
Yep.
Like
Yes.
you think you're not putting signs out there. You're like, nothing about me would indicate. Yeah, there are signs. I promise. And it's nothing to be ashamed of.
No.
So don't be ashamed of it.
Own it.
It's just, come on.
Come on now. Come on now.
Sir.
Nothing about my personality gives off that I play the tabletop game Warhammer 40K or watch anime or PC games or knows way too much about Star Wars. And typically when I'm dating women, I hide all of these aspects about myself.
Also, don't do that.
And why?
Never do
Yeah.
that.
Why?
There's no reason to do that.
Seriously.
Embrace
I
that
love
shit.
Star Trek. Let's
Yeah.
get nerdy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I have been having regular intercourse with this woman throughout.
I'm sorry.
I'm so
Sir,
sorry.
there are
the
signs.
fact that he
You said
uses
intercourse.
the words
Thank you.
regular intercourse, it's a wrap.
There's signs.
We know.
There's
Stop
signs.
it.
There are signs.
I'm fucking gonna die. You guys don't have
Stop.
any idea where this is going. This is
How will they know? They're never
They're
gonna
never
know.
gonna know. They're never gonna know.
I've been having regular intercourse with this woman throughout our whole relationship. And naturally, the time of the month came when Mother Nature bears her ugly head.
There will be signs. There's signs. We know. Mother Nature
crying.
rears her
This is the
ugly
most
head. I
milady
swear.
guy I've ever fucking heard. You know what I
This
mean?
man
1,000%.
fedora.
I was just
Stop
gonna
it.
say that. 1,000% he owns a fedora. I
There
swear
will
to
be
God.
signs.
Yes.
Oh,
Wow.
fuck me. This was no issue for me. I've been many places in my life, and the Red Sea is somewhere I've sailed before.
Okay. There will be signs. Sir, there are signs. There are signs.
As I've grown in age, naturally I've had more time and money to invest into my hobbies. So I have recently really taken the deep dive into Warhammer, including the lore, which brings me to Khorne the Blood God.
No one will know. No one will know. How will they know?
I believe this needs no more explanation. If
Oh,
you're curious about the details, I suggest perusing the many sources on the World Wide Web. Back to the
Sir, there'll be signs. World Wide Web?
back,
What in the fucking hell?
back to the intercourse. I had noticed that there was blood everywhere, which caused her to notice and remark, "Oh, this is messy," which in return I said loudly, "Blood for the blood god."
There will be signs.
I'm sorry.
There will
that
be
made me
signs.
want to fucking throw up. Look,
Screamed and jumped out the window.
Yay!
what would you do? What would you
What
do?
would you do?
If you said blood for the blood, first of all, I don't know Warhammer. I would get the fuck out of there.
Oh my
I think you're gonna
God.
sacrifice me.
So
you
weird.
have been dating a dude for a month and having quote unquote regular intercourse. He's been intercoursing me for a month.
Oh,
And then
This man wears tube socks with black shiny shoes.
oh my God. I cannot. I am so turned off by that. Like, first of all, I'm not even a big, just because I like to feel fresh and clean whenever I'm getting down. I feel sexier that way. So I don't even really like having sex on my period. It's not really for me.
Personal thing. Yeah.
It's just personal. Yeah. And that's just kind of how I feel. But if I was feeling comfortable enough to and I just, horny enough to want to do that.
yeah.
And you said that,
I swear.
I swear to God, like no longer
Never
am I
again.
in the mood. I was, we were hanging on by a thread as it was. And
Yeah.
like you just,
By a tampon thread.
yep. Oh,
Blood
God.
for the blood god.
No.
After which, the whole mood changed. You don't
Yeah,
say.
You don't
you don't
say.
fucking say.
You don't say.
We continued and finished. She didn't. Cleaned up. And subsequently, during the pillow talk, she asked, what was that about? This, ladies and gentlemen, is where I made the worst mistake I have ever made and began to explain to her all of my knowledge of the Warhammer universe. The rest of the night, she turned into a mute and we slept. I left in the morning, and now it's been a few days, and despite reaching out multiple times, as I really value our relationship and the time we spend together, I have not heard back from her. Do you think there's any way I can salvage this?
No.
Cut
your
this
losses.
is why you need to be upfront
Yes.
with who you are. Like, be upfront
Yes.
with your hobbies. Be upfront with who you are.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
certainly, you couldn't have picked a weirder fucking time to expose your like interest in this particular hobby. What a weird way to do it. Like, that is like, whether you want to have sex on your period or not, I think most women would agree the first time doing it with a partner on your period, like
It's vulnerable.
It's a vulnerable experience.
That's right. That's right.
So having someone make a weird joke about it in the middle is not already. I'm kind of out, and then
Yeah.
and then you
like
spend
you said, we didn't come.
yeah no
We
no
didn't.
no yeah
You did, sir.
yeah. And then to spend the rest of the night going into deep, and I guarantee you this is the kind of guy who didn't notice that she was ing her way all the way through that, like while he's explaining Warhammer to her. She lost interest within the first 5 minutes. Like, I promise, so cut your losses and moving forward, put it in your fucking bio that this is something that you're interested in, or bring it up on the first date. Like, and it's fucking fine. I think hobbies are good. Like, they're such a good thing.
Here's the thing. If you guys if he'd been open the whole time about his hobby, I'm like putting myself in her shoes, and like he's been open about and you guys have a good rapport, you've been hooking up for a month or whatever, and things are going good, about his hobby, and then he says, blood for the blood god. I could actually kind of see that being funny. Do you know what I mean?
You'd kind of assume because you'd have an assumption at least of what it was referring to, instead of just some fucking, you're going to murder me and we're going to be sacrificing you.
Yes.
Yeah. With no context, weirdest thing you could have fucking said.
Yeah.
So weird. So weird. That's why when he was like, I made the worst mistake by explaining Warhammer to her, it's like, that wasn't where things started to go south, my dude. Mm-hmm. Like, that wasn't it. Oh, wow. Oh. Okay. Here's a story about a time when I was the worst date. I was just coming out of a bad breakup after a 10-year relationship with my ex. To say I was not in a good place would be an understatement.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I probably should have started therapy, but at the time I was convinced that I could pull myself out of the emotional hole I was in on my own. Convinced by movies and TV shows that the cure-all to heartbreak was just to get yourself back out there, I did exactly that. I downloaded every app available at the time, put myself on all of them, and threw myself into the new to me world of online dating.
Ugh, Godspeed.
Yeah. Good luck. I'd agreed to a few dates and found myself backing out of them at the last minute. A sure sign that I was perhaps not ready to start dating. Until I finally told myself that in order to move on, I would need to push myself to follow through. So the next match I had, I cut right to the chase and agreed to a date that upcoming weekend. The guy seemed... You're not ready. The guy seemed really sweet, and we did connect the few times we chatted on the app, so I was hopeful, but my nerves were shook. The day of the date, I felt so much anxiety in my chest that I found it hard to breathe. By mid-afternoon, I had started drinking to calm my nerves, and by that evening, when it was time to leave, I had polished off an entire bottle of red wine.
Ooh, girl.
Wow.
Careful.
Careful. I set off for the date, looking cute, if I do say so, in a short skirt and high heels. I arrived at the venue, and the guy wasn't there yet. So, still feeling anxious, I made my way over to the bar and ordered a vodka cocktail. This is where things start to go sideways.
Yes.
No, I believe the full bottle of wine is where
That
it
was
started.
the true beginning, you know.
Yes.
I remember meeting my date. It's never a good start when you're like, I remember this part. He was tall, attractive, and seemed kind. Despite the fact that at this point I could tell I was drunk, conversation went okay and we seemed to have a lot in common. I thought I was holding my own pretty well until my second cocktail. At this point, the night becomes extremely hazy. I remember it in snippets, like a movie montage from from a 2000s teen party movie.
I don't love that.
Oh no.
That's not good.
Me laughing too loudly and spilling my drink on my top. Me screaming about how much I loved the Despicable Me minions. Me.
Oh my God.
I fucking love Kevin.
Oh, so good.
Me.
Banana.
You know that's what happened. Exactly. Me stumbling, trying to get off the bar stool as we left the venue to walk to another.
There were
Things
signs.
Really went sideways when we made our way to another bar that had a series of steps that led down into another area. I was walking ahead of my date and tripped on the first step, causing me to fall ass over tit, literally down the stairs.
Oh, woof.
I hit my head at the bottom and immediately started crying. I've been there where it's just like something happens. You're on the verge, like emotionally anyway. You've been you drink a whole bottle of red wine, which is just cry juice.
Yes.
Let's be fucking real.
You are
now
1,000% right.
Cry
juice.
Start crying.
That's what I'm going to start calling it. Also, this is another. There were signs.
There were signs.
There were signs.
Exactly. Like, just.
Yeah.
And we'll
Take
talk
her
about
home.
it because I have stuff to say. Yeah.
Take her
about
home.
This. But yeah. I was a crumpled mess at the bottom of the stairs and he rushed down to me, pulling on me in a way that made me start screaming at him. It turns out he was trying to pull my skirt, which had slid all the way up my waist, back down around my hips. So he was down there trying to help her, but she's like, why are you fucking tugging on me? Get off of me.
Oh, no.
Back down around my hips because my bare ass was out. Eventually, I let him help me to my feet and he led me to a couch. When one of the staff came over with a bag of ice for my head, we realized that it was bleeding. This caused me to cry harder. He insisted that we go to the hospital to get it checked out.
Yeah.
And on the whole ride there, I couldn't stop sobbing and telling him how horrible my life was and how I was so sorry that I was such a fuck up and bad date.
Oh, no.
My God. I want his side.
You gotta peel your fucking skin off. Like you get home and that is the kind of thing you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh my God.
We're going to
This
bury
will
that.
cause you to stop drinking for sure.
Yeah.
To his credit, he was really patient and understanding. I got checked out at the hospital and he stayed the whole time. Nothing was seriously wrong and took me home. I slept it off and woke up extremely hungover and mortified. When I opened the app, I saw that he had already messaged to check on me and told me that it was okay and not to be embarrassed.
Wow.
I apologized profusely and he had to know what was going on, you know.
Also, how hot is she?
Truly.
True.
I apologized profusely and we chatted a bit, resulting in him actually asking me out on a second date. Having just learned a very hard lesson, I told him that I needed to work on myself right now and clearly wasn't ready to date yet, but that I would give him a call when I was. Despite how horrifying this situation was, it turned out to be just the wake-up call I needed to work through my trauma and heartbreak and put myself first to heal. I deleted the apps and did just that. A few months later, after starting therapy and cutting way, way back on my drinking,
Good.
I reached back out to my date from that night. He was still interested in going out again. We went to coffee, talked for 5 hours, and dated for 2 years.
Oh, that's good.
We're still
Yay.
friends to this day, and I'm forever grateful to him for giving me grace through one of the hardest periods of my life. Moral of the story, work on yourself first. Sometimes the best way to get over someone isn't necessarily to get under someone else.
That's right. That's right. And Christina, to your question, the answer is very hot.
Very hot.
Yes.
Very, very hot.
Certainly. But also, I just think like we've all been there, right? It's just like we've all been, and I do think that society really pushes this narrative that you have to get right back out there right away, that like this is the best way to recover. And for some people, I think that works, but I don't think it's a universal truth for everyone. Like, I think you really have to be careful and work through your own shit and really
Know
determine,
thyself.
like if it's, because it's not a cure-all. Like the trauma is still there. Whatever you went through, if you don't work through it, it is there. And no amount of drinking and no amount of fucking and no amount of like dating, none of that is going to heal you. Like
That's right.
It's still going to be there. So you got to take care of that shit.
Yeah. And I think also just not letting people dictate what your timeline is, because everybody has an opinion about like, oh, you need to get back out there, you need to get back on the horse, or you need to take 2 years of solitary, like, don't let anybody comment on your timeline.
No, it's so different from person to person. Different people have different needs in terms of that. And like healing isn't linear either. And I know that is a phrase that gets like tossed around so much that I feel like it almost loses all meaning, but it's very true. It's like you might feel like you're starting to get better, and then you might feel like you're backsliding, and something might trigger you and might hit you harder than you thought. And like all of that stuff, you have to be patient with yourself. You have to give yourself grace. And a lot of times we need help with that. So there's no shame in getting help with that, whether that's through therapy or whatever it is, to figure out the tools that you need to help yourself heal better.
And there's no wrong way to do it either, truly, because some people, the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else.
100%.
And you know what? They're like, you know what? I'm just here for a good time, not here for a long time.
Different
and
people
maybe that
need
just helps them
different
feel
things.
sexy again and makes them feel wanted again, and lets them, allows them to look for that person that's going to make them feel good all the ways.
I agree.
It depends
100%.
on the relationship.
Just don't let anyone else dictate what's right for you. Like, if you will know if it feels right. And there were signs for her in the beginning of this story that it's like, you knew you weren't ready, girl. You knew you were forcing yourself to do something that your body was rejecting, The
main takeaway I want from this is that, Keegan, you have created a brand new revenue stream for this podcast because we are going to sell bottles of Cry Juice.
Oh.
You heard it here first. I'm trademarking it the way that if I saw a bottle in the store and it was called Cry Juice.
Look, sometimes you gotta just like lean into it. Sometimes you gotta move away from it. Sometimes you gotta lean into it.
Dude,
we'll have a
life
nice
requires different things.
Called Get Over Him.
We need anybody that wants to get in on this business in the ground floor to reach out to us at myworstdatepodcast at gmail.com. Cause this is a $1 billion industry. I swear to God.
Incredible marketing opportunity. Yes. Incredible. Yeah.
Get in now. Oh my God. You guys want to take 5 and then we'll come back with the Tainted Love?
Yes,
sounds good. And we're back, and I have the Tainted Love, so I'm going to tell you a story. First of all, let me tell you a little bit about where I got a lot of my information. I watched an episode of Evil Lives Here.
Oh my God. I started watching that. I only watched like one episode and it gave me such bad anxiety. Truly.
this story is really interesting. It also then led me to a Forensic Files from season 4, episode 11.
Early days.
Luminol.
Early days.
I bet the hair was amazing. All of the interviews.
It was like
So good.
1999.
Oh, yeah.
it
And
was-
the sepia VHS quality.
Total VHS, totally square on my
Have we
rectangular
talked
TV.
about
Yes.
it before? Like there was a Instagram that was like people of unsolved mysteries.
Yeah.
And it was the whole Instagram was just pictures of the people
Amazing.
who were interviewed for unsolved mysteries, and it's the
Amazing.
best.
Fucking awesome.
The
Yeah.
best.
Oh. I also found a lot of news articles from the Phoenix News Times, specifically by a man named Paul Rubin. And I bring him up because he was also in the Forensic Files. So I think he's one of those people who's kind of really was like latched onto the story and had like a lot of information about it. So let me take you back to June 9th, 1993. Lori Romanek walks into the Phoenix police station and reveals a shocking story behind the decades-old disappearance of her mother. Dianne Kidder had last been seen alive on September of 1966. In 1956, Dianne Kidder was her name at the time, single mom of a 2-year-old daughter, went to work at her father's grocery store in Peoria, Illinois. This is where she met Jeanne Keidel. They fell in love. They were married within the year. She was very much a get back on my feet kind of gal, and was just, I don't think necessarily she was looking for love, but I think that it just was like one of those things that he came in, they real cute, meet cute kind of situation.
Felt right.
It was
Felt
also
right.
like the 60s, and being a woman,
Truly.
like it's not like you could get a fucking credit card or start a business. So
There you go. That's
got
true.
to, gotta
shit
get
moved
married.
so much faster.
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
then, in general.
Well, and two, I mean, if 1959, she's probably lucky her dad owned the store so that she could get a job there.
Exactly.
Yeah. So they end up moving to Phoenix, where Jean is able to find work in the burgeoning construction industry. I mean, back then, this is early days Phoenix. I mean, boom time, right? Soon they add 3 more children to the family. Besides Susie, they add Greg, Kelly, and Lori. Their relationship becomes increasingly volatile, though. According to Lori, their fights became more and more brutal. Dianne was no wilting flower, though, and Lori recalls in one of the episodes that I watched an incident where her father had addressed the kids, came out into the backyard where they were in the swimming pool, was yelling at them, telling them that they were going to starve to death, or calling their mom horrible names, that if he left the family, they were all going to starve because he's the breadwinner and they're never going to make it, and it's
Why
going
are
to be
people
awful.
like this? Like
That is a
just
fucked
don't
up thing to say to
have
your children.
Kids.
Yep.
Just don't have kids. Like if this is
You also have to think of the availability of birth control at the time.
yeah.
Truly. Yeah, exactly. Dianne, though, again, like I said, she's no wilting flower. So she flings a radio out of the window and hits him in the head.
Everybody
couple-
involved needs
Yeah.
to go to therapy. Like this is not how you react, especially not in front of your children. Stop it.
No.
No.
Do you hear about there's a TikTok that I saw this morning? It's a guy on the side of the highway. He's like, her name's Tiara. She's left me here on the side of the highway, and anybody can get me, like bears or whatever. And literally all the comments are like, yeah, what'd you do? What? I mean, it's,
100%.
Right.
To get left on
Right.
the side of the highway. What did you do?
What did you do?
I need to know both sides.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before making my decision.
Withholding
like,
judgment.
Yeah.
Tiara, what's going on?
Tell us what's up.
Tell
What
us
did he
the
do?
tea. Tell us the tea. Listen,
Exactly.
not that like women
On the
can't
highway.
be irrational, like can't like do something like that.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they could. But in my experience, if
Yeah.
one of you told me, not that you ever would, and I'm sorry, Cassie, that for some reason you are always kind of like the example that we go to. But like if you told me you left Chris on the side of the highway, I'd be like,
Oh, he fucked up.
that he fucked up
fucked
so
up.
badly. What did he do? And he would never. But
Yeah.
like I would
It would
know.
have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would know because
Yeah.
I swear to you, first of all, I would never do that. Unless he did something.
Unless it was something insane.
He deserved it.
A highway?
Yeah.
I managed to get over and pull over on a highway.
Yep.
Yeah.
You fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fucked up. Right up. All right. So the couple, they're like, we're done here. They file for divorce, and we're finalizing the details of this custody property division over, they're just like, both of them want custody, both of them want the house, but of course, but the things go forward, divorce goes through, they're having some, conversations, and they end up having a meal on September of 1966, after which, to have further discussion about like timelines, when to see kids, etc.
You said they're having a meal?
Yes.
Okay. For some reason in my head, I thought you were like, they had a meal, like a name, like another child. And I was like, why the fuck are they having more kids? Okay. No. They're eating dinner. Okay. Got it. Yeah.
They go out and they're having a discussion. Okay. They have this discussion over a meal. Not a person. They basically, are kind of like cashing out like some, last minute things. But again, the divorce is finalized at this time. Afterwards, she goes to meet up with this guy that she had started seeing recently since the divorce. Jean says that he had gone over in the middle of the night because he got a call to relieve the babysitter, and that he had fallen asleep. And when he woke up in the morning, Dianne still had not made it home. Her car and her keys were there, though, but there was no trace of Dianne. He called the police, missing person report. He's like, I don't know what happened. He's like, I came over in the middle of the night to relieve the babysitter, but she if she did come home, apparently her car is here, her keys are here. I must have slept through that, but she's gone. I don't know where she is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, though, who knows Dianne was certain she's not going to leave her children behind. This woman is very dedicated to her kids. And when they went to interview her date, Dan Marlin, they learned that the night after the date with Dianne, he had a heart attack and died. So he didn't run off. She didn't run off with him.
Oh my God.
Shit.
What are the chances?
The odds are incredible. I mean, like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
So
Jean's over here like, God damn it.
Yeah, right. But Jean's like, oh yeah, well, she was dating a lot of people, and he gave him a list of names because, I mean, it wasn't Dan, but it had to be somebody. All dead ends. They just don't know. She just up and left. Just Missy. Jean, of course, explains to the children and anyone who will listen, his ex-wife ran off with some guy, one of her many boyfriends. And just months later, just not like 4 months later, tragedy strikes again when the family home catches fire in the middle of the night. All this happens, the house catches fire. Jean's at the laundromat. Lori describes the fire. First of all, if you watch Evil Lives Here, and I don't want to get into the intense gory details, but there's stuff that I want to talk about that plays in a little bit to the story. Mm-hmm. Lori describes the fire with her sister, and that she had been burned, and that her sister laid on top of her, and this is where they died. Susie was laying on top of her, protecting her.
God.
And yeah.
No. I don't know how do you ever recover from that? Like, just nightmare city. Like, you're just having nightmares for the rest of your life. Like
devastating.
The idea of losing a sibling, period. When I think about potentially losing one of my siblings, it is one of the most difficult things for me to imagine, like one of the most heartbreaking things that I think could happen. And to lose a sibling that way.
Yeah. Where they're protecting you and your life.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Your little
Horrible.
angel sister laying on top of you, protecting you.
Oh.
But I mean, technically they both died there. And they end up, the fire department does come. They end up taking him out onto the lawn. She codes multiple times, but they are able to save Lori's life.
Oh my God.
Lori suffers 3rd, 4th, and 5th degree burns. I don't know if you understand what that means.
No,
but
I didn't
she
even know there
explains
was a
this.
level over
I didn't
third.
I didn't either.
I didn't either. Lori explains it in Evil Lives Here. She says basically 5th degree burns are like bones burning. The bones
my God.
are burning. The bones of her ribs were burning. The skin to this day, she shows like on her hand, like where she's like, this is a new scar from where my skin just ripped. It's devastating.
Horrible. Oh my God.
Devastating. Her brother Greg had jumped out the window to safety, while Susie and Kelly both perished in the fire. So the police, of course, investigate. The fire department investigates. They found that a pot had been left on the stove, and the stove had been turned on. Like it had been left. Basically, it was a water pan that he would make coffee with.
Mm-hmm.
How old
Just forgot.
were the children?
So I think I don't recall everyone's age at this time, but Lori herself was around 5 or 6.
Okay.
When all this happened.
Yeah, because there was just a case, and this is so awful. So, I mean, content warning, but I think it's too late given what we're talking about. But there's a case that just happened in London where a mom is being prosecuted for manslaughter because she had 2 sets of twins. And one set was 4 and the other set was 3. And she left them at home while she went grocery shopping, and the house burned down while she was gone. And she's being prosecuted for manslaughter for leaving her kids.
You can't leave 4 and 3.
Well, this is also like what, the 60s, right? 1966.
You're right. Yeah. It's a different time. People raised themselves.
I think Lori might be the youngest.
Okay.
So of the kids, Susie's the oldest. So she was, if in 1956 is when her parents met, or 59, I guess, she was 2 at the time. So she still wouldn't have been, what,
she's like 10 or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So after 4 months in the burn unit, Lori is pulled from the hospital by her father, brought back to the only partially refurbished home in which he had only
where her
refurbished,
siblings died.
and only 2 rooms have been refurbished. So they're all sleeping in basically the fucking living room. And the house still smells basically of charred burning.
Oh my God.
Because it's not all completely done yet.
Was he supposed to take her home, or did he pull her out early? That is fucking insane.
Pulled her early.
When you take a burn victim home early, 5th degree burns, no, criminal, monster, no.
So a lot has happened, right? This family has gone through a lot of stuff. It's about a year after the tragedy of her mom's disappearance and, this fire, at a local funeral, or a funeral of a local family friend who had died in Vietnam. She starts to understand death for the first time. So she's like around 6 now, right? And this is the first time she recalls like, oh, somebody needs to wake him up. You can't bury him in the ground. He's got to wake up. How is he going to get up to do stuff? And this is kind of like when she is triggered to remember some of the things that had happened and understand some of the things that she had seen.
Mm-hmm. Saw mom sleeping, didn't we?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She recalled the night in which her mother disappeared and that her father had brutally beaten her mother until she went to sleep, then buried her in the backyard where Lori thought she was hibernating. So the story about the hibernation is that she had a turtle that started hibernating at a certain point, and her mom had explained to her, he'll be asleep for a while, but then he'll get back up, basically.
This is so sad.
My God.
This is 5-year-old
sad.
Yeah, it's devastating. Absolutely devastating. She recalls asking her father many times if they could dig a hole to feed her mom in the backyard. Can we dig a hole up so I can feed mom in the backyard? She says she remembers, and this is the thing, apparently she's 5 years old, thinks mom's asleep in the backyard. Imagine she's going around probably telling people mom's sleeping in the backyard.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you conveniently leave the oven on while leave the stove on while you're out of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it will be 27 years before Lori would gain the courage, basically, to go to the police with a written statement of what she remembered from the night of her mother's disappearance. She had been awakened the evening of September 16th to the sound of her father and mother fighting. She and her sister Susie snuck in to see them fighting, and when Dianne saw her children, that's when Jean took advantage and punched her with a final blow that would knock her out and make her head hit the wall and go to sleep, basically, right? The girls ran, hid in the closet, but when they came out, they saw that their father was digging a hole in the backyard, which he would then eventually cover with concrete.
Do you know, like, the lack of self-control? I mean, I think most abusers, and definitely like most physical abusers, have a lack of self-control, period. But the amount of lack of self-control to not even be able to control yourself in front of witnesses, like in front of your children.
I think that they were behind him, so I don't think initially he knew.
I see. So he didn't realize they were there. He didn't realize they saw.
Of course, when they start talking about, I'm sure mommy sleeping in the backyard, I'm sure he's like, fuck,
Yeah. What a fucking monster.
Yeah.
In the episode of Evil Lives Here, she describes it more in depth, the fear she had of her father by knowing what he was capable of, knowing that this secret might be the reason for her own death. Lori says that she remembers, this is insane. Prepare yourself for this shit. Mm-hmm. Lori says that she remembers not long after the fire, her dad had bought a boat and that he would take her out when he would go deep sea fishing. He would throw her overboard and make her swim back to shore by herself.
Yeah. So he really, I mean, it's no wonder it took her so long to come forward.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is, he's planting a lot of fear in her.
Continually tried to murder you throughout your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she's a kid. She doesn't know.
Yeah.
But after multiple times of this happening, she finally absolutely refused to go with him. Also, just content warning, she couldn't like fully stretch her arms because of the burns. So she could only doggy paddle. So she would doggy paddle herself back, but the scars would open on the way. And she said she would bleed, which would bring the fish to the surface and they would start nibbling on her. It's just the most fucked up shit.
Oh my God. Oh,
this is nightmare fuel. It's
devastating.
Terrible.
Yeah.
It's absolutely devastating. When she was telling the story, I was just like, of course she's scared, right? And the only reason I even bring this up is because it's literally, like I said, 20 some years later before she goes to the police. And I think probably a lot of people are like, why did it take you
victims
decades
of
to
abuse?
I'm like, surprised she was able to do it at all. This is so fucking scary.
And speaking to something that's topical, I've almost stopped, like on TikTok it's different, but opening comments on Instagram about anything to do with Diddy, like Instagram or Facebook, like because the number of people in there who will be like, okay, but it took you 20 years or it took you this amount of time, you're all coming forward now, I bet it's a cash grab, blah, 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 blah. Like, for you to not understand the amount of fear that someone with that amount of power over you, and in this instance, this is her father, can wield over you. Like, of course you're scared to come forward or say anything. You've been indirectly or directly threatened, continuously. Like, of course it's taking a long time for you to muster up the courage. And I hope that the people who make comments like that never find themselves in a situation where they have to make that kind of decision for themselves, because it is absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
She says that when she was 18 years old, she had moved out of the house and did not tell her father where she moved to. She was like, I refused to tell him. I didn't want him to know. And he found her anyway. And so then you're just like, you're 18, you're living on your own, but you still have a level of underlying fear. Yeah. This man has murdered 3 of your family members, essentially, right?
And tried to murder you. Like
multiple times.
It's a miracle that she made it to adulthood. A miracle.
Absolutely. So it's not until she's 31 years old, married, moved on, you know what I mean? She tells the story about her horse having a foal and the mother's struggle to basically, the foal was born in its sack, and the horse basically desperately trying to break open the sack so that her foal could live, that she was like, it like triggered this like motherly, like, oh my God, my mother absolutely loved me. And she tried everything in her power to protect us children from his abuse, because that was one of the things she always said. She was like, I spoke about him throwing, but basically she was like, you do whatever you do to me, but you're not going to fucking touch my kids. Basically, that's always had been, her mom. And so it kind of was one of these moments where she was just had this like awakening. Right. And it was on September 15th, 1994. Police recover Dianne Kiddel's remains from the backyard. This is where basically she had told the police, she went into the police office. By the way, she had written down everything, a fully written statement, passed it over to the officer, and was like, I mean, she's the very first line of her note is like, I need you to understand how completely fearful I am of my father if he finds out that I wrote this.
Wow.
Well, because she's got kids of her own.
Yeah.
That
she knows what he's capable of.
Yeah,
she
a lot
fully
to protect.
knows what he's capable of.
Oh, absolutely. And with, like I said, with her help, she tells him exactly where the body is, exactly where the concrete was poured. Even from that point, obviously the police keep this very secret from him, but for a year they have to do GPR over the site. The thing is that she explains too, she was like, it was taking so long for them that she was like, I'm just going to buy the house and dig it up myself if you guys don't do something, because I know that there is my mother is buried back there. And, of course they believe her, but they also need to have like some kind of proof to just dig up somebody else's, the house has been sold, someone else owns it,
Right.
You can't just be like, hey guys, we're just going to dig up your backyard.
Do you know how fast I would say yes though? I don't care how good my landscaping is.
Please.
If they came to me and there's like, there might be a body back there, I'd be like,
let's check.
Yes, you have my permission 100%. Get them in here. Okay. Because also for the family 100%, but I also don't want a fucking body in my backyard. Can you please?
Man.
Yeah. I mean, this is September, like I said, September 15th is when the police finally, of 1994, is when the police finally discover the body. They bring up the body and book Jean Kidel on murder charges. December of the same year, death certificates, because they start to investigate then the fire, and the death certificates for Susie and Kelly Kidel are changed from accidental to arson. And then on April 17th, 1995, Kidel is convicted of first-degree murder in the death of his ex-wife, Dianne Kidel. So that is the insane story of the death of Dianne Kidel. Yeah.
Wow. That's so, I gotta tell you, evil lives here because it's always told from the perspective of a family member.
Yes.
Is one of the most, like, genuinely, I watched one episode and it was so good.
Terrifying.
And I thought about doing it for a Tainted Love, but it is so scary because you are hearing it firsthand from people who typically, from what I've seen on that show, have lived with it for years and experienced it for a long time. And usually it's people that are supposed to love you because it's people who are in your house. And that is so sad and so scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Devastating story.
Yeah.
That woman is beyond brave.
So brave.
To have survived and then to still like get justice for her mother and her siblings.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh gosh.
He does eventually pass away in prison. So
he
that's
does.
kind of the final chapter of that, and she speaks to basically, he'll have to, she's Christian, so she believes that he'll have to answer for this in another way as well.
I think about this sometimes because I love my dad. I love my dad but I wish I see people who have that close, like daddy's girl, father-daughter relationship. And I wish I had that with my dad. I'm definitely a mommy's girl, and so I look on it and I can see that it happens with other people. And it's something that like, I wish that I had gotten to have and gotten to experience. And it's just not the way that it worked out for me. And I can only imagine how difficult it must be when you have relationships like this with your parents, where your mother is gone and your only surviving parent, like as a child and even into adulthood, like those bonds, they never go away. That like longing for having someone to protect you and be your parent and be there for you, like that never goes away. And I can't imagine this outside of everything else, just the suffering of knowing that like you don't have your mother anymore and you really never had a father like that. He's not a father and he was never a father to you. Is the pain of that alone is so sad.
Sometimes it's just like really surprising to me too. Like when I will watch a show like that, or like I Survived, where I'm just like utterly,
how do you keep going?
In awe of what people are capable of surviving.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's bananas to me. So
yeah. I mean, her whole child is a survival mode.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
God, recovering from that has got to be I just don't know how you do it. It's so, wow, what a brave person.
And she lives with not only the mental scars, but physical scars.
A reminder
of his devastation for her whole life.
Horrible. Wow.
Oh,
thanks for sharing, Cassie.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you guys watching this week?
Well, I was... season 13 of Call the Midwife just came out and I was already a season behind. I didn't watch season 12. So I have just been buried in Real Housewives of New York, true crime, and just like horrific shit. Like I've just been horror movies. Like that's all I've been. And I was just like, I just need something that's going to make me feel nice. Yeah. And I can't tell you what a good decision it was for me to just binge Call the Midwife, because it was honestly, it actually makes me like kind of emotional, because it was just like, it was exactly what I needed in that moment. Like I needed to believe in a world where everyone at the end of the day does their best. And like tries to help out other people, and it just restores your faith in humanity, even though it's a scripted show. Where you're like, oh man, like life could be like this. Like we could all just be like doing our best to help each other out and like give each other a leg up every step of the way. And so if you're feeling like that and you just need something to kind of bring you back to center, I love Call the Midwife.
Oh,
nice.
So good.
I have started watching a Turkish show called Palace. That's really interesting. It's kind of a time travel-ish show.
Okay.
It's good. It's really good. I'm kind of like halfway through season 1. There's a second season, so just launched. So
nice.
It's been interesting.
I am watching something really embarrassing. But Eric and I have been getting high and putting on a show called Late Night Lockup.
Oh, you told me about this when I saw you yesterday. That's perfection. Yeah.
It is.
Sounds amazing.
It is literally
just drunks.
Just people wilding out at like 1 a.m. and the cops trying to deal with them. And it's so silly. I mean, there was like, we constantly quote this to each other, but there was a guy that was like getting pulled over because he was driving erratically. It was like a young kid. He must have been like 22 or whatever, blonde, like all American kid or whatever. and they're like talking to him, and he's like responding, and then all of a sudden he just bolts. He like runs off. So then the cops like
that is drunk rationale, like thinking that you're going to be able to get away in this situation. You are not.
Cops like chasing him or whatever, and he's just like yelling off in the darkness ahead. He's yelling, "Leave me alone!" And
that'll do it. That'll do it. They'll be like, okay, you're right.
It's like real life Reno 911.
Leave me alone. And I just like lost it. It's so silly.
I do not support alcoholism. Like, get help. But watching there are some seasons seasons like 7 to 11 of Real Housewives of New York is just the most out of pocket, like drunk rich person behavior I've ever fucking seen. It is the most unhinged shit. It's so embarrassing. But then they come back the next season and they do it all over again. And you're like, I can't.
Did you see yourself?
Is the paycheck that good? You know what?
But it is amazing to watch. It is amazing to watch. Yeah,
I am fine.
Cassie,
I don't even have a tricky problem.
this other guy they like arrested. They're like, you blew. They tell him they're like, you blew 0.16, which is twice the legal limit, and he goes, twice the legal minute. So,
maybe.
Oh my God.
Please, if you need just something light, to fall asleep to. I was just like, man, you're gonna do that shit. Do it in your house. Don't be out there. It's like, it's dangerous and so stupid.
Never survive like being that belligerent and then ending up on TV. The way I would change my name and then never drink again.
Yeah.
Never.
I'd be like, oh, that's my evil twin. Actually,
no,
that's not me.
We just kind of look alike, but no, I'm
definitely
actually
not me
from that state.
That guy just
weird.
Grow your beard out. Just pull a full Dexter situation. Move to Alaska.
I'd be like, I'm blonde now.
Yeah,
I don't know her.
Get a good wig, good lace front.
It's seriously. If you guys have something that we should watch, if you want to invest in cry juice, if you want to, I'm telling you, man, it's a moneymaker.
$1 million idea.
Totally. If you have a terrible, terrible date story, reach out to us at our one-stop shop of a website. It's myworstdatepodcast.com, and we love you so much.
Cheers.